from Worcester. I grew up here, and I came here as a child when this was built. It's like, oh, look at this building, isn't this amazing?
That's actually one of the first things I noticed about Clark when I got to campus.
Sometimes I go up to the 5th floor to study when I have a lot to do.
5th floor is definitely a good spot that I like to go to.
I go straight to the 5th floor when I use a specific area or the library at all. I don't like any kind of noise.
I use the library once in a while, but I mostly use the 1st floor AC because I feel it's more social. I really like those really high chairs and tables because I feel like that individual space with people around you just makes it easier to study, because if you look over and you see people studying, you're like, okay, I should study too. And you're not close enough to a person where you're just like, hey, like, I don't want to study, can I talk to you?
I use them mostly to find books that aren't necessarily on the shelves, or find information or data sheets.
Occasionally, I like to talk to librarians if I have research to do.
I make small talk with them when I want butterscotch candy, but otherwise I don't.
We pay attention and offer whatever means we can think of to help make your life better. My name is Rachel Shea, and I work as the bibliographic instruction librarian and reference librarian here at Clark University. I've been working at Clark University for 15 years, I think.
I take out reserve books for people who need them. You can take reserve books out for 2 hours, or you can go upstairs and find your book by yourself, being a big boy, and you can take it out for longer periods of time.
A faculty member is the one who requests to bring in classes to the library for library instruction, the bibliographic instruction. And I use the syllabus and the assignments in order to organize my remarks and how we will address what we look for and teach students how to use the library.
I don't know, it's weird because it's not just a study place for me anymore. It's where I hang out with people I know.
Right now, the library with the renovation is exactly how I picture it, because I used to say, back before the renovation, I used to say that I'd like to see the students coming in with the same kind of energy and joy that they go into the gym. And now I see that.
Just when you come up towards the building at night, it just kind of is looming over you in all these weird shapes and ways, and it's really, really cool. But then once you get inside it, it's just this big expansive place, and there's all this different areas you can go and explore.
I think the inside of the space is really lovely. I like the big kind of open space around Jasmine's. I like that there's a lot of light, and I like that they've tried to create social spaces for students to come together, so that the idea of the academic commons, I think, is a really nice one, because it gives you guys particular spaces where you can get together and work collaboratively without having librarians walking past and shushing you. I tend to work, for the most part, here in my office. Okay. But ever since I was an undergrad, I've always kind of liked the experience of going looking for books in the library stacks. I think there's something kind of satisfying about wandering around and there's just these big, dark, scary shelves full of books surrounding you, and you never quite know what you're going to find. I don't use the physical library as much as I use the library's resources. I mean, we can almost think of a university library as existing both in terms of the physical building, and then there's this kind of secondary library that exists, which is composed of all of the journals that we have access to things like newspapers and other resources which we have access to through the library's subscriptions to different journal sites and that kind of thing.
I think the architecture is really cool. I like it. I think it represents Clark very nicely.
As far as the architecture of the outside goes, it's kind of weird looking. I don't really think it fits in with the rest of the campus, but I like the inside. There's some really cool spaces, even though it can be a little challenging to navigate sometimes.
He knew that computers were coming in. I mean, as I say, libraries were already using them. So he knew that how people would use something like a library was going to be completely different from how they used to use them when it was completely book-oriented. So he tried to build a place that would accommodate the unknown. You know, what would in those days, computers, a lot of computers were huge. So how do you build a place knowing that everything's going to change, but you don't know in what way? And so he did a very clever job, I think, of that.
Architecture of the library is really cool because when you look at it from outside, you see so many layers to it, and then when you're inside, there are specific cubicles which you look out of, and like you can see other buildings and like how they're built, and then also you can see like the horizon, and it's just really pretty when you look out the windows.
I used to think, or I still think, that it looks like those giant Hoth walkers from Star Wars. The four-legged guys that they trip.
When I talk about the role of the library now, I see it as a brilliant and beautiful example of community.
It's also just a nice place to do work, but not do work. If you want to just unwind, you can just kind of find a quiet spot with a window and just read for a while. Little known fact, you can do other things than work in the library.